The new film In the Heights isn't bad. In the Heights is produced by Lin Manuel Miranda, who's the man behind the hugely successful stage musical Hamilton, and it's directed by Jon M, who directed Crazy Rich Asians, which is actually a film I haven't seen, but I've heard quite negative reviews of. Coming at this from the perspective then of a massive Hamilton fan, which I think is pretty clear from my Hamilton mug, if nothing else. I thought Hamilton was a really great fusion of music and choreography in the form of a story which I had genuinely never heard of before. I'm also a fan of musicals, which may not be clear at first glance, but I won't lie, a good musical really gets me engaged. And on stage especially, there's something incredibly mesmerising about watching this expertly choreographed sequence of events just unfolding in front of you. Now, bear in mind how I said stage, especially, and that has significant prominence for In the Heights, which is a film, and it was based on a stage play which was actually written and created before Hamilton. In the Heights comes in a weird place then, not having the conceptual ideas of something like La La Land, but La La Land was always meant to be a film. It's a concept from Damien Chazelle, and it's centered around film and the film industry, and it's because of that it comes off as a really strong film. But In the Heights doesn't have that conceptuality backing it, and because of that, a lot of the parts in the film just seem like a straight translation from stage to screen, when in all honesty, this film could have had so much more than that. A film is such a diverse and opportunity-rich format, and a film like this could have been so much more advantageous of aspects like that, I think. For example, the cinematography, which is as dull as any I can remember, to be honest, often filming the scene in a very obvious and bland way, and there are instances where the photography is actually dull to the extent of incompetency. There are instances where the 360-degree rule is broken needlessly. Another instance in this film which feels strange is the camera's persistent need to be incredibly close all the time. It feels like the camera operator is unable to keep up with the actors at times, and it ends up in the whole film feeling fairly claustrophobic when it should feel lively and vibrant as this story and culture that's being shown to us is. The story here is clearly a high point, offering what I feel is a pretty vital narrative currently. The film shows these various narratives from Hispanic and Caribbean immigrants living in this community called Washington Heights, and each of these characters was incredibly colourful and likeable, and has a lot of depth, to be honest. The protagonist, I feel, is very well played, and he's this kind of awkward but very likeable shopkeeper who serves as a really good narrator for the whole film. And I feel it's incredibly easy to feel familiar with him, which is a real merit of the film, and you know, credit where credit is due. There are plenty of other characters in this film who also feel incredibly fleshed out and easy to attach to. A favourite definitely being Abuela, who is this maternal figure to all of the characters who've migrated to New York. All these characters, I feel, have an equal time to tell their stories of hope and ambition, and it doesn't feel rushed. Everything feels like it's given equal weighting, and I'll let you discover some of these characters themselves, because they're just very well done. I feel all of them are, which I think is all thanks to Lin-Manuel's expert script writing, but also his songwriting. The music in this film is spectacular, and it heads in the same direction as Hamilton, which, if you were a fan of, you'll love this, but it also adds more of a calypso sound. The beat covering all of these tracks is just infectious, and it adds a really strong backbone to lyrics which are, in all honesty, at worst, genius. The songs all feel very different, but they do have that calypso beat in the background, grounding them in the same sonic universe. The performances of these songs are also a definite high point. The way that these actors can go from acting their dialogue naturalistically to rapping at breakneck pace is really impressive, and it definitely adds to the overall experience. I'd say problems with the music do again come with the film's technical capability, and the mixing of the audio, which at one point is so bad that I couldn't even hear the lyrics anymore because the beat was mixed in so heavily. An instance where the music is used particularly well, though, is in the beginning, where the protagonist walks out of the house to synchronise sound effects playing around him. Another instance where I saw that this paid off a little more was in the hairdresser scene, where people are getting their nails done while tapping to the music. In fact, it's a scene that is overall pretty interesting and effective in itself. At its best, this film is pretty impressive, and I'm sure that if I were to watch the stage version of this film, I'd be far more impressed, but unfortunately, this is a film, and because of that, there are some things which do need to be expected of it. The story and the music are good, and everything that was taken out of this film, which came directly from the musical, is phenomenal, but the visual presentation of this film is very weak, and since film is a visual medium, you'd expect a film with a story as colourful as this to at the very least take advantage of the film's colour grading. It doesn't. The colour in this film is so dull. The food, which at very least should look appealing, doesn't in the slightest, and the food of the Caribbean is some of the most colourful in the world. The camera work is lackluster, and overall this story just isn't done justice. In fact, I'd say that this is perhaps one of the most by-the-books, predictable interpretations of the source material that you could get, with little or no passion behind the filmmaking process. And in all honesty, I'm not looking forward to seeing what Crazy Rich Asians has to offer us. This is what we're getting here. Overall, this film comes in at a 6 out of 10 if I had to rate it, which does appear to be quite an average rating. And in all honesty, this is quite an average film, but I would consider watching it again. This film is fun, it's interesting, and it's a story which I feel is vastly underexplored and needs to be given more gravity, to be honest. And for that, I'd recommend it. So, that was my review of In the Heights, the new film from Lin Manuel Miranda. Have you seen it? If so, what do you think of it? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Do you agree with me? Do you not agree with me? Say in the comments. I'll be interested to see what you think. And if you haven't seen it, as I've said before, I would recommend it. With cinemas coming out now, you know, people need a reason to go out, so this is a good enough reason. What else we got in the cinemas? We got The Father, quite sort of somber, I guess. Supernova, also quite sad. We've got Cruella. Oh, don't watch Cruella. Overall, no more announcements, no more housekeeping to be had. You know, keep your eyes open, because who knows, there may be some things on the way. But until then, that's all I've got to say. Goodbye.